Oh, hello there, Travis. What are we actually seeing starts to get complicated? It was easy. It will start to separate. Are definitely not behind that restricted access door. They're not. Forget about it.
None of them will be able to be revived.
So please, be reasonable, returning to the orientation we usually the private traditional. A stabby, but I don't think. And those rectangular outcroppings weren't. Here is my Catwoman glove and glove. I should have a floating, impossible anti-gravity blah blah blah. Now, if we were to take it, snapshots, eventually, how do you transmit a discrete shell?
Well, Ari, we've been tracking this thing for weeks and we still don't know what it is.
The basilisk has its eyes on you, Rudy. What are you going to do? And at some point, the acceleration is going to get so high that you're going to pass 9.8 meters. Look, I know that neither of those examples were fun. A screaming fish on this side would never be good, leaving me weightless no matter where I am. What the? We generate our heat endogenously or within our own bodies.
I give killer high fives.
Is it? Is that it? This story is only one of a dozen. Okay, good, because it's rock, paper, scissors. Where are you right now?
Bam.
The fingerling. That fingerling. Isn't that wild? Fingerling.
What is good talking about? Oh, I'm sorry, what were we talking about?
Technology would have that yet. I mean, you think no. The miniaturization problem. I know. There's no way we can get. I mean, on the current timeline that we're working with, yeah, it's gonna be a while before we have those chips that size to get through the actual gauge of the needles that they're using. Yeah, no, I know. It's like trying to fit a square peg through a round hole. I mean. Yeah, if the hole was big enough, but the needle, the gauge of the needle isn't even big enough. It's like almost everything that conspiracy theorists are worried about is like based on just straight up nonsense. What? Oh, I don't know, like a bread bowl? Thanks, Panera. You always have my back. What? This is Wendy's? Where am I? Bye. Love you. Have a good day. Merry Christmas. Hello. And welcome, chat. Hello. And welcome to this office hours. It's being a little choppy here. Being a little choppy here. Here on the stream. But I'm hoping that that all gets sorted out in due time. We shall see. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, hello and welcome to Office Hours, the live component of the facility where good old Professor Kyle and his hair here allows all of you, members of the facility, members of the general public, jump in, ask me anything of your heart's desire, sciencey or otherwise, for about the next hour or so. But we won't be doing just that. We will also be taking your comments and questions, and we'll be talking about a number of topics that I have been interested in throughout the week in science, technology, and math, and arts, and whatever the last M in STEAM is. Math. Today's topic will probably make the chat a little bit rowdy, so please respect the rules. Please respect Heather and Tactical Bucket in the chat. Their staff security team, they are armed with laser hammers, and they're not afraid to use them. Chat, I just want to say, since there's probably a lot of you in here today, expecting to talk about 5G nonsense, just before we get to all the donations and all that stuff, I know, I can see it. I just want to say that I think I think I've forgotten to take some medication for the last couple of days, and so I have serious brain fog, where I'm having trouble doing everything. Remembering and functioning and stuff. Oh my goodness, cooler guy, come on! I'm having a lot of trouble functioning today, but, as they say, the show must at least be there for streaming or else people can't binge it. So, please be nice to me today. If I get stuff wrong or I'm a little slow or something goes wrong in the stream and I can't fix it, I do not feel like myself right now. And it's weird. But do you know what's not weird? All you glorious people entering the facility right now. Come on, let's go. As I just pointed out... Oh man, I look terrible. As I just pointed out, if you really, really, really want me to see something, ask me something while we go through a number of our topics today, which will be, of course, pedants, or pendants, as I originally said in the title for today. We'll also be anti-5G pendants. We'll also be talking about quantum entangled tardigrades. What? We'll find out. And finally, we'll be taking your comments, questions, and corrections from the latest episode of the facility, which I'm very proud of. But before all that, of course, you can join the facility, or you can try Super Chat. I can't promise I'll get to all the Super Chats. But just know it's going towards a good place. Maybe to make me not look terrible. We have a 50 from Liz. Says, hello, my tiny human Alex has a question. She says I'm still... Oh, my mom says I'm still contagious with a cold even though I don't have a fever. Why is that? Well, Alex, you can still... having certain symptoms doesn't necessarily mean you are contagious or not. You can have overlapping symptoms for a portion of time and then not a portion of the time. Basically, your own, and this is what is so dangerous about brain fog. So dangerous about relying on your own inside feelings, Alex, to tell you whether you're contagious or not. We don't have a good feeling of when you're contagious or not. You have a feeling of like when you're hot or when you're cold, but we don't have that kind of sense for being contagious. And so people are very often wrong about when they're contagious. So I would rely not on how you feel, but on what we know about colds and other things, and how long you're typically contagious, no matter how you feel. That's why it always annoyed me, even though I got... People in the office didn't like it, but when I worked in an office, people would be like, oh, I'm working, but don't worry, I'm not contagious. And I would say, how do you know that? No, seriously. How do you know that? Because that's how you feel? Well, that doesn't mean anything to me. And it shouldn't mean anything to you. So your common sense can be wrong, Alex. So that's why we have to rely on things that are not so common, like microscopes. Exploring with Sparky with the $500 donation. Sparky, you psychomaniac. Sparky says he's watching from Aspen right now. Sparky, the legend grows by the day. So now you've transitioned from... You're on a private island with specially engineered sand. You were nude, body surfing out to your yacht. And so you put on some clothes. I mean, because you got to travel. Your private yacht, of course, transitions into an airplane. It actually comes out the back, small, tiny jet plane. Comes out the back like where the jet ski would come out. You fly direct to Aspen. You don't have to tell nobody. You know why? Because you own that airport that you're going to. You land, you pick up your Stella Artois beer, you just look at the cap, and it gets knocked off. How? I don't know. You pay someone to do that. Enjoying from Aspen. Sparky, thank you so much. One cooler guy with the Australian $420.69. Nice. Says, hey, show, thanks for the Kyle. You may want to put that AC/DC fence on the ground to keep us out. But my question is how, if at all, do you think things like memes help or interfere with getting information to people, be it in a good way or bad way? Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, one cooler guy. You were indeed cooler. I think memes, in terms of delivering factual information or not, are a net negative. That's not to say that we can't use memes to deliver good information, but we know, and there are studies on this, that bad and mis and disinformation travels much faster than good information, or information that's trying to correct that other information. And because of that, scientists and public health officials right now on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, they have brought a psychological knife to a gunfight. Social media has weaponized the propagation of bad information, and now we are fighting a losing battle. And we have this idea, if you're around my age or older, you have this idea that the online world is completely separate from the flesh world, and it can never really have an impact on it. But we see that misinformation, at least in my country, is literally killing people, where it splits along, where deaths from the pandemic split along ideological lines. Like, you can predict whether or not someone has a higher likelihood of dying based on what kind of media they consume. That shouldn't be the case, but it is. So I'd say memes are probably a net negative if you're trying to deliver good information. Thank you, Sammy B, with the 10, with the multiple 10s. Sorry, I was dealing with just getting phone calls from Aspen, from Sparky. I'm sorry. Sovereign Win with the 10. If we ever achieve sustainable future... Now, everyone, pause the super chats for just a second so we can get to today's 5G topic. We haven't even gotten to it yet. And I have serious brain fog. I don't know if you've had, like, bad brain fog before. I've had it when transitioning to different, like, antidepressants or taking too high of a dose, and you feel outside of yourself. It's a really frustrating feeling because you're seeing yourself. You're like, why are you being dumb right now? And you're like, you turn your head and you feel a little bit... Anyway. Could we use fission products as fuel to maximize energy output in fusion? No. Well, the difference between fission and fusion is that they use two different ends of the heavy atomic boys side. So when you, it just turns out, and there's charts of this that you can look up, it turns out that the most efficient and maximum amount of energy you can get from fission is splitting big atoms. Plutonium, uranium, that kind of thing. But when you're smashing atoms together to get energy out, you want those atoms to be very small and very light, like deuterium and tritium, like isotopes of hydrogen. Okay? So, it wouldn't be a very... it wouldn't be a direct transition from fission fuel to fusion fuel. But thankfully, hydrogen is the most abundant element in the entire gosh dang universe. And tritium and deuterium are in our oceans. So, just like Doc Ock said, the power of the sun in his tentacle hand. Whatever he said, I don't care. Those movies were bad. Ha ha ha! Fight me! I started out my science communication career countering this kind of stuff. When I was but a young man, Kale Silverwind says, Science Thor missed my first super chat with a 269. No, I didn't. I see you. Liz with the 5 says, Alex's mom here. I have fibromyalgia and have switched mental health meds, and yes, brain fog is a weird feeling. You're doing great. You got this. Thank you, Liz. I mean, I hope it's switching or forgetting medication or something, because I can't live like this. Anyway, it's almost Christmas. I'm going to see some family. I hope you are staying safe and healthy and making good decisions. I'm getting my booster tomorrow, flu shot tomorrow. Everyone in my household's been tested. I've been tested 5 times in the last 4 weeks. That's because I've been traveling and doing stuff. Speaking of that, I know I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so you're here to hear about this nonsense. anti-5G pundits. Now, when I started my science communication career, I was what you would call like a skeptic, an active skeptic. So I was there to help debunk and dissuade people from believing in conspiracy theories and ghosts and spirits and things that might actually harm you, that are trying to take advantage of you, like mediums and palm readers and these kinds of things. Now, it just so happens that these kind of things can be much more harmful in the short term, physically, not so much mentally. Mediums, I think, are much more psychologically damaging, but sorry, I was looking at you. But what I'm getting at, if I can remember where the hell I am right now. Right, I'm live. This anti-5G kind of thing is just another flavor of everything that I just described. It is a flavor of this kind of thinking, that there is some pervasive, usually government-run thing, this miasma, this ether that is out there. It's affecting you. It's watching you. It's gonna get you. And the only way you can not get got is to get one of these. That is a great, Kevin, that's a great tagline for our product that we're gonna roll out. Yeah. I don't know. Tell them it blocks gamma beams. Don't worry about that. But this is just the latest in a long line of products that tell you that you're going to get got if you don't get this. These come in all shapes and sizes, from pendants to necklaces to beads to bracelets to anklets, all this stuff. Basically, it's stuff that you wear on your body. B Fox with the 5 says, I have chronic fatigue and a lot of brain fog. I hope yours passes soon, and chat understands it isn't something easy to ignore. Oh, trust me, I'm not ignoring it. So that's where we're starting from. These anti-5G things don't come out of nowhere. They have a lineage of people recognizing a for-profit opportunity to take advantage of an underlying feeling of paranoia and gullibility. That's why I view these as very psychologically harmful, because it is people making a product knowing that it doesn't work. And I will say most of the time they know it doesn't work or it does nothing. But this is an interesting case where it does something just completely the opposite of what they say it does, and bad. So first things first. When we talk about 5G, and I think that maybe some of you don't even know this. Don't worry, Matterbeam, we'll get you back in here. When's the next Chernobyl episode? Says H the Gaming Boy. H, do you see the quality? If you haven't watched our first part of our first Chernobyl video, you see the quality on that, Gaming Boy? It's like a Netflix documentary, man. Give me a bit, huh? Damn. Any hoozle. Where am I? Right. See, I'm usually a lot quicker than this. You know this. You know this about me. It's bad today. When we talk about 5G, what do we actually mean? Well, we look at the electromagnetic spectrum, of course, right? Sammy B with the 5. Thank you. Jeremiah Mahieu. Is it radioactive enough to use for inducing mutations in seeds? Probably not. Seeds are kind of hardy. They're kind of Tom Hardy. So I feel like a lot of potential blowback from things like 5G towers would be alleviated if you showed someone a simple chart like this. But then again, that's assuming that they can read. Now, if you look at a chart like this, you see the entire electromagnetic spectrum from radio waves, very low frequency, and long wavelengths. Woo. All the way on the far end to your right there of gamma rays, X-rays, have a lot of energy, and they have very short wavelengths. Victor Flores with the 5 says, when the rest of your series on Chernobyl is done, it needs to be on Netflix. I'm actually going to talk to my agents in the new year about, don't worry about it. Paul with the 11, do you think future society is going to be more like Idiocracy or like Star Trek? Thanks, Paul. The sad part, Paul, is that it's going to be more of the same. And it's just going to keep being not great. What's the likely answer that where society is going to be, right? Somewhere in the average between awesome and crap. Unless we blow ourselves up first. Anyway. So on the electromagnetic spectrum, you see visible light. That's everything that you're looking at right now. Slightly below visible light, you get into infrared, and then you get into microwaves, which you use to jiggle atoms to heat up your food. But this is also the bandwidth we use to send signals that we call 5G. Now, the only thing special about this bandwidth of 5G that you see here is that there's a lot of open space on the airwaves for these frequencies. By which I mean they're not being used by a lot of other technologies right now, which means you can pump a lot. You have a lot of frequencies. You can pump a lot of information through so you can get faster crap on your phones. But all 5G is a technology that is using microwave bandwidth radiation to transmit data into a new fruitful area of communication, telecommunication. You see, secondarily, that non-ionizing radiation, that 5G technology, 5G microwaves, radio, squarely in the middle of non-ionizing radiation. Okay. So you might notice something right off the bat here. When people are afraid of ions and stuff, this doesn't make ions. Kyle, what is an ion? I'm so glad you asked. An ion is simply a charged atom or molecule. That's it. That's it. You have, in an electrically stable atom or molecule, you have an equal number of protons and an equal number of electrons. Positive protons, negative electrons. When you have the same number of them, cancel out, zero charge. All an ion is either they have more protons than neutrons, making them slightly positive ions, or they have more electrons than protons, making them slightly negative. That's it. Because chemistry, Ergonaut says, did you miss my super chat? Yes. People are saying, why are, Yash Shah says, why are ions dangerous? Just give me a second. All right? Give me a second. So that's all this is. Keep up the good work. Clay Joyce just watched the first Chernobyl episode. Thank you with the 5. Guys, I appreciate the love. Give me a second. I'm trying to focus, and it's hard with the way my brain is working right now. So that's all ions are. But because chemistry, metabolism, the world interacts with stuff electrically. Atoms and molecules interact by exchanging electrons and by transferring and bonding in this way and this is dependent on charges. And so why, to answer your question, Keelan Runnell says, where do 4G and 3G cell phone networks currently fall on this graph? Just in different bandwidths. That's what I'm getting at. So 5G is using a different slice of this. That's it. That's it. It's just a different slice. Still not ionizing, different slice. I finally caught a live stream, can't think of a good question, says Candace with the Australian 5. Been watching a lot of documentaries about Antarctica and the scientists out there. Well, thank you. Because the world interacts through charge, through the transfer of electrons, ions can do stuff to you. That's if your body has metabolism. Metabolism is everything that your body does chemically. So ions going into your body, around your body, can interact with your body. Could be bad, could be good. Depends on the ion. Okay? It really does. You can't just say positive ions are good, period, or negative ions are bad, period, or vice versa. It's much more complicated than that. That's another thing that these products and people want to have you believe, that it's simple, it's cut and dry. Negative ions are good, blah, 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 blah. It's not. It's always more complicated. But you can't put super complicated things on the packaging of a bracelet that doesn't do anything. So, now enter these pendants and bracelets and these kind of things. They are purported to emit negative ions. Now, think about what we just talked about. Think about what these products say they do. Or salt lamps, or whatever, right? An ion isn't... It's not weird energy. It's not just some wavelength. It's a thing. It's an atom or a molecule with some charge. So what they're saying these do is emit an atom or molecule. Okay? That indeed has the potential to do something. But just saying that it is negative, it's a negative ion, tells you nothing. Are we talking about hydrogen, or are we talking about frickin' strontium-90? Well, turns out that these products like this, anti-5G, health promoting, etc., 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 have decided, for whatever reason, to make these things actually emit stuff. But what they're emitting is not negative ions at all. Now, I watched a good video on this, and a couple of people were saying this. A couple of people were saying this in the chat, but yes, I have watched Thought Emporium's video on this. I highly recommend going to the YouTube channel Thought Emporium, where I've heard of the channel, but I didn't know he builds like his own radiation detectors and everything. Very, very smart guy. Anyway, he put one of these bracelets inside of one of his cloud chambers, and you can see in the supersaturated alcohol vapor, you can see these tracks. And what these tracks are tracks of ionization created, or condensation, created by particles flying out from this bracelet. Now, again, I recommend you watch the video because he went on, he did a number of tests on this material. He sent it out for scanning electron microscopy. And he found out that based on what these trails look like, based on the spectroscopy of the material, the radioactive fingerprint from the material, all of these products seem to have thorium in it. But Kyle, isn't thorium great? No. Thorium is radioactive. It's a big unstable atom. And what this atom does is throw away parts of itself randomly to try to get to a point of more stability. That's all radioactivity is. Funny thing is that a lot of it is alpha radiation, and alpha radiation is basically just an atomic nucleus of helium, which is a positive ion. So they're saying that these are negative ion things, and yet they're throwing out positive ions from something that they... Point being, these products are actually doing something, and that thing is being radioactive. Now, the cynical me thinks that putting radioactive material in these products, in blankets, in underwear, in personal massaging equipment, yeah. Cynical me would say that they're putting this slightly hot material in there so that people who wear it can observe some effect. Like a red spot on their skin where their skin's being affected or heated up slightly or some kind of thing. Cynical me says these companies are putting slightly radioactive material in here to slightly damage people's skin enough so that they think something is happening. But when Thought Emporium measured these products with a Geiger counter, kind of similar to what I have here from Chernobyl, he was getting off of these bracelets a background radiation rate that was similar to being in and walking around Chernobyl. For whatever reason, it happened to be that these things are basically like wearing Chernobyl around your wrist or your neck or your underpants. Now, as I say, and as I've said, and as I will say, being in Chernobyl for a short amount of time, depending on where you go, totally safe. Thought Emporium also says, handling these objects for a short amount of time, totally safe. But if you're going to wear this for a month or a year, I've been wearing my necklace here for, without taking it off, for about 15 years. If people do something like that with these, they, as Thought Emporium measures and points out, they will start to push themselves towards the boundary, the threshold, after which it becomes likely that you will increase your risk of developing cancer. So, not only, yeah, don't be mean to people in chat. Yeah? Everyone be cool. We're talking about science in here. And Heather will ban you, and I don't care. So, cynical me says that they are putting thorium powder and powderized minerals that contain thorium in these products to make people feel something. Like a warming of the skin or a red spot or something like that, which these things can cause over some time. And they're so interested in short-term gains from selling these bogus products that the number of people that will develop cancer are so low, and it's so far from now, that the immediate monetary gains make it worth it. But from an ethical, from a scientific standpoint, these products are dangerous and disgusting. And them being anti-5G is just the latest flavor of the month for these products. It has nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with blocking radiation. It has nothing to do with 5G itself. They are just using the meme, the dangerous misinformation meme term 5G to scare people into buying this. So that's what we are actually talking about. Hey Kyle, love the show. I was so tempted to do the thing. Hey Taylor, thank you. My reading skills aren't great right now. The wavelength chart is cool, but how do I explain to someone that 5G being in the microwave range isn't a bad thing? I can understand how some would be concerned. I would say, how concerned are they, or how often have they noticed that being around their own phone has caused some sort of issue? The phone emits radiation in these wavelengths. in the same bands of wavelengths like 5G. And I would wager that your friends or family or strangers have never been more than 5 to 10 feet from their phones for any significant period of time ever. And if you don't seem to notice the purported effects of being around this 5G, ooh, crazy. If you haven't noticed any effects from your phone that you've never been more than 10 feet from in your entire phone-wielding life, how likely is it that a very similar wavelength would be doing anything to you? Very unlikely. How concerned are you when you heat up some food? Have you ever had to leave a room because you turned on the microwave? It's not exactly like taking a chest x-ray, is it? Hamstray says, because food from the microwave is often bad? Another meme that microwaving food makes it less nutritious. Wrong. Not true. In fact, it probably makes it as, if not more, nutritious. Why are people so afraid of technology? Says Aerith. Because we are ape scared of clicky, clacky things. You know? Oh no, what did I roll into, says Justin Cho. Justin. It's fine. I don't know. Do we have time for a little tardy talk? Maybe. Please don't mix European and US norms, please, says Supa. I'm not. I didn't say anything about Europe. Ape. Scared. Ape. Now want to talk about very tiny things. Small boys. Keep it short, then go lay down. Man, I'm getting a lot of why is my... Yeah, I'm dropping frames. I don't know why. Huh. Gotta get them moss piggies. This will be a quick one. Recently, you may have heard that tardigrades have added another amazing thing to their list of amazing things that they can do. That they have been quantumly entangled in a quantum computer-like qubit system. I have some bad news for you. So, what the researchers did in this paper in question is that they found, or I didn't read this part, they found or induced a tardigradian ton state, T-U-N. And what a ton state is when basically, if not, I think it's all of it, but metabolism stops. Metabolism stops. They become a dehydrated little speck of dust, more or less. No chemical reactions happening inside. And this is in this hibernative or cryptobiotic state, as it's called. Tardigrades can withstand some amazing, amazing things. The vacuum of space, crazy temperatures, crazy pressures, all the stuff that you know. But what these researchers did was take this little mummified tardigradian, Super Pictave, or Pictive says, don't mix up European and US norms. That wasn't sarcasm. I know. What did I say? What did I say? Calm down. Trust me. I will be the first person to say that the United States has handled the pandemic and its attitudes toward the pandemic worse probably than just about any other place on the planet. So calm down. Calm down. Cryptobiotic tardigrade ton little boys with then placed inside a quantum system like this. Now, this gets complicated, but what you need to know, more or less, is that a qubit is like a bit that can be a 1 or a 0 in a computer, but a quantum bit or qubit is something, a system that after you measure it, it can be a 1 or a 0. But before you measure it, it's a 1 and a 0 at the same time. Superposition. I know, it's weird. Quantum mechanics is weird. What the researchers did and what they said was entangled was that once these qubits were connected to each other, they put little dehydrated boy, as you can see in the top right corner of your screen, they put him in the system on top of qubit B. Now, when they measured what the system was like at qubit B, they found that the frequency, the frequency of the qubit system had changed. That's it. They didn't say how it would change. They didn't measure any internal system changes for the tardigrade or the qubit. They just put the tardigrade on top of the qubit, and that changed how the qubit acted. Now, they said that this wasn't maximally entangled, but it was entanglement. However, other researchers point out that because the creature was in this ton state and basically a speck of dust, Sammy B with a 5, I'm passing. Good night, yo. Yo. Good night. Because this creature was basically a speck of dust at this point, that you could have just placed a speck of dust in the system in a similar way and you would have seen the same thing. By which they mean, the animal, it being an organism didn't matter at all. And that the organism itself wasn't entangled. It was just the fact that you had this speck of dust in the system. Nothing about it being alive changed what you saw. And this paper has not been peer reviewed yet, so it can still change. But, like I said, this is going to be quick. So I would be very skeptical of these headlines or social media posts that you see about a quantum tardigrade. It could have just been what you'd expect to see with a speck of dust interacting with a qubit. But what is interesting, and what Matterbeam says, this research was just headline bait. But, Matterbeam, what is interesting, and what I have seen pointed out, is that this is actually another cool thing you can add to the list of what tardigrades can do. Because to maintain a quantum computer needs to exist at extremely low temperatures, like just fractions above absolute zero. Right? And after they were done with these tardigrades, about 30% of them were able to be revived by being warmed up and rehydrated. So that means, in addition to everything that a tardigrade can go through and still be alive, these tardigrades existed in a ton state. They survived at near absolute zero for 17 days. That's longer than that's colder than space. It's colder than space. And it's longer than that experiment that put them in the vacuum of space, which was 10 days. So they existed at near absolute zero and came back for 17 days. Yeah. Ilas Al-Rami says, "Oh, ape head, go boom, oh." I know, right? So even though, even though the headline is misleading, or is potentially misleading, or is likely to be misleading, what tardigrades can do still doesn't fail to amaze me. Man, I think we're getting through it, chat. My brain fog is not, it's not great. But it's helping me. What do you mean it's helping me? See, okay. See, now I'm not good anymore. I was going to go through some of your... Actually... Nice to see you back from Pripyat. Do not lick metal at 0K. I love you, Thor. Hello. Where's Chernobyl Part 2? Someone asked about it and you missed it. It says JGH. JG. JG. I shot 366 gigabytes of footage. It took me 7 hours to just label 1,500 different shots that I took. It took 3 or 4 editing passes just to do the first video, okay? It's gonna take me a little while. Plus, to do part 2 of Chernobyl. Plus, I don't want to put all of them back to back to back to back. I want to spread them out. I want people to have the opportunity to see the first one. I want there to be some buzz. And I don't want to waste all my resources right out the gate. So, part 2 will be in January. Part 3 will be in February, probably. Have you been to the Elephant's Foot? No. Too dangerous. But, and hey, JG, and I'm also doing other stuff, you know? We have a video featuring the co-creator of The Expanse coming up this week. Collaboration with Adam Savage still incoming. Have that footage now. Plus, we're still streaming. We're streaming right now. We're gaming. We're doing all these other things. Just give me a break, all right? I'll get to it. Maybe. Kevin, with the GTQ 70, how can I convince my mother that microwave ovens aren't dangerous to use and won't change the molecular makeup of food to where it becomes poison, quote unquote? I would say that changing the molecular makeup of food and what the molecules are doing, that's just called cooking. And humans have been doing it for thousands and thousands of years since the discovery of fire. What microwaves do is just make those molecules jiggle a little bit faster in a little bit more controlled way. Fire is a brute force approach. Fire is a hammer, and the microwave is a scalpel. We have the technology today to unlock the calories from our food in a much more controlled way, in a way that frees up leisure time for people in a society, in a way that allows the modern conveniences of society to be enjoyed. Mother, please just microwave my tater tots. I can't keep doing this. I'm losing my mind. What time is it? Oh my god. Justin Cho, straight out of South Korea. The 5G chip in your arm gets better reception in Korea. 300 megabytes per second. Catch up, America. Oh, dang. You have 300 over there? Yeah, I don't know why we've been... The Basilisk computer here has been tripping. We have fiber here at the facility. I've been watching politics shows. Now I hate every single human being that has ever existed except for you, says Luis Andres Ruiz, sorry, with a CRC 2500. Love the show. For a mental health reason, I haven't listened to, like, political news in almost 2 years. I can't do it. I'll put out there what I want to put out there. I'll try to advance what I want to advance, but I just can't. Oh, I just, you know. Peer review. So, as we are wont to do on every episode of Office Hours, I like to go the previous episode at the facility. I like to highlight a comment that made me go, hey, wow. Then you become an honorary member of the facility. And Kevin gets you a plaque. Okay? The last episode of the facility, please watch it. Took me a lot of time and money. Is the first episode from our Chernobyl adventures. Dashun with the 5 says, you've been doing good, just keep doing you. Shout out from Georgia, waiting for all the Chernobyl videos, so it's going to be a while for me. Simp for science. Woo! If you haven't watched it, please watch it. It's basically like a live-action Half-Life history in that it's the pacing is slower, it's more reverential. It's more documentary, Netflixy-y. But I'm proud of what we did, and I hope you go watch it. But a lot of people have been commenting on it, and some really amazing stuff. It's great to see. D2 says, I just cut my hair and now I find this dude. Yeah. You effed up. James H says, what I love about doing stuff like this, documentaries and more serious stuff, is that I get comments from very serious people and very impressive people, and it impresses me. James, as a former U.S. Navy nuclear operator, thank you for all of this and all your videos that tell the story of nuclear power without demonizing it or scapegoating it into some object of fear. Sure, it needs to be respected, as all energy sources do, but moving forward and cleanly, I fully believe nuclear is the future, and can hopefully, with people such as yourself helping to spread this message, it will become something we are willing to seriously consider going forward. But for and a lot of people with a lot of amazing comments, thank you so much for sharing that with me. But of course, I have to give the comment this week to Brittany Williamson. Now, Brittany's husband is a member of the facility. And he reached out and he told Brittany, it's like, hey, this guy is talking about Chernobyl and stuff. Brittany reached out to me, said, hey, I know a guy who's going to Chernobyl with all these scientists. Do you want to go? And that's how this trip happened. It was because of Brittany. And Brittany here leaves a comment that will give you context for my context, because Brittany was right next to me, with me, the entire time. Brittany says, hi, I was on the trip with Kyle. Most of us on the trip are nuclear engineers. This was a training session for us to learn about how contamination moves through the environment, both inside the plant and outside in Pripyat in the forests. We also had a couple first responders in our group. This is the only place in the world where they can practice using their instruments with high background dose rates in real-world environments. Of course, we were learning about the plant and the accident, but we also took a lot of radiation measurements everywhere we went. And that's, unquoting for a second, that's one of the videos you're going to see. I took a lot of footage of Brittany and her compatriots actually measuring radiation in an environment outside the power plant. So I will bring you basically a video like how scientists actually measure radiation in Chernobyl, and goes through their practices, their protocols, their equipment, all of that. That's incoming as well. Ali Sparks with the 5 says, how long did filming / planning take for a project like the Chernobyl video? Well, Ali, I'll put it this way. That was this video that's up right now on the channel is like video 1 of maybe 8. And it took months of prep and buying equipment, and then being there was 8 hours a day of being on your feet. You can't sit down anywhere. You can't. Walking 6.5 miles a day. Food was great, though. Dang. Nathaniel with a 10 says, thank you for putting out great content. I hope your brain fog goes away soon. Happy holidays. Nathaniel, I'm sure once I get to where I'm going and my dad cracks open a nice silver bullet, I'm sure I'll be fine. But back to Brittany here. I can speak for most of us that the most surprising thing was the ubiquitous contamination. The background dose rates were high everywhere. Going into it, most of us thought that we'd eventually, that they eventually could clean up an area enough where it'd be clean again, but no, there's no way. We did one exercise where we got a sample that was maxing out our detectors, and we were able to isolate it to a tiny fragment. That could have been carried by the wind or stuck to the fur of an animal. There was no way to ever clean up this place to pre-accident levels. That was a stark realization for us. Unquoting again, why can't you sit anywhere, says Recast Relics, because it's radioactive. Elijah Ryan says, what did you eat at Chernobyl? We ate in the cafeteria with all of the workers, and it was good. Unquoting for a second. In another video, you will also see the exact moment where we find this piece of radiation. Now, this radiation literally maxed out $50,000 radiation detectors. Off the chart. And do you know how big? This is what is scary about radiation. You know, like, I try not to make it scary, but you need to respect it when you need to respect it. And I'm trying to find an accurate way to show this to you. How big this thing was that Brittany says was maxing out, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of radiation detecting equipment. And I would say, sorry, I'm just trying to make a correct size of it. I would say that it was smaller than this. Much smaller. To where you almost couldn't see it. Smaller than this. So that was just on the ground. Something smaller than this, maxing out a meter. If you swallowed or inhaled something like this, it would be a serious problem. And that, in Chernobyl, is everywhere. As Brittany said, it could be on the wind. It could be in the fur of a dog, which we met. We have a full video about the dogs of Chernobyl. Pencil tip size? Yeah. So that was scary. And enlightening. And you will see it. We have it on camera. I was also a little surprised, going back to Brittany now, how emotional some of the moments were. We had moments of silence in two places at the plant. The solemnity and gravity, where we were and how it changed the world, did not escape us. Kyle and his Kevin have done an amazing job of capturing that, and I can't wait to see the next video. Brittany, thank you for coming in. I was kind of pissed about how initially this first video did, but I'm sure the Dogs of Chernobyl video will explode. Brittany, thank you for coming in to the facility, to the video, to give us this amazing boots on the ground context. Thank you for, first of all, contacting me so that me and the facility and now all of you could see what Chernobyl is really like. I hope you enjoy the video. There's a lot more where that came from. And I hope it earns respect for Chernobyl and for what we're trying to do here. So, Brittany, I would say you're an honorary member of the facility now, but you already are, of course, for sure. But Kevin still has a plaque. Are you sure you want to give this to her? I mean, I kind of wanted it. Okay. Brittany, you are now going to receive one-of-a-kind challenge coin. It says Radiation Specialists. Death by Decay. It is given to people who visit Chernobyl with the sign. Oh, she already has this? Oh, because we're on the same thing and we both have it now? Okay, good. I did not want to give that to her. My brain is broken. I hope it's the medication change, because I am just not here. I thought that I told Kevin to go to a break so I could take a drink of Wawa for half a second, but he turns the camera back on me. Oh, we will talk about this, sir. Jay Presents says, I've seen the movie Chernobyl, and that's how I knew what your video was about. You could also, I mean, it's also like in the thumbnail. Christy with the 5 says, try again. No. Lucas White says, loved your video. Also, how much do you know about the immune system? Not that much. I mean, I probably know more about the immune system than the average person. But I'm not an expert. I'm sure Kurzgesagt knows more. What's the best part of your visit there? Says Yasha. You haven't seen this yet, but in another episode, I mean, going into one of the abandoned cooling towers. Oh, no, I know it. I mean, it was entering the NSC. It was entering the dome that covers the sarcophagus, which you have to go through a freaking airlock, by the way, because it's pressurized, and seeing the sarcophagus. I said this a couple times when I was there to my Kevin, who was helping me film. Going inside the NSC, I mean, a lot of the workers do it there, but in terms of like the general public, going inside the NSC and seeing the sarcophagus firsthand is like walking on the moon. Dangerous place, suited up. Not many people have seen it or will ever see it. Pretty wild. Alicia with the 20 says the world needs more Brittany Williamsons in it. Science educators and people who help raise voices are beyond valuable. I look forward to the whole series, and I'm glad you're in a position to share it. Kawa says, with the 5, says, radioactivity saved my life. I needed radiotherapy. Yeah. Not everything is bad all the time. Jess O'Donovan with the 5 says, is it possible that dark matter is some sort of reaction that we don't know about between matter and antimatter that was created during the Big Bang? The thing about dark energy and dark matter, and why we call it that, is because we have no idea what to categorize it as. And so if it's interacting, or is an interaction between matter and antimatter, that means it has some categorization that we're familiar with, right? So it's not showing a signature of like an annihilation event. So I'd say no. But what do I know? Just a few more of these wonderful comments from you as I am trying to clear my brain from brain fog. Anyway. Allie Sparks with the 5 says, I'm also wondering how much footage was blurry. Radioactive things seem weird with cameras. Allie, I want to kind of dispel that right now, where we didn't go anywhere radioactive enough where it would mess with the cameras. If you're in a radioactive place where it is messing with the circuitry of your camera, you need to get the hell out of there. Extremely, those are high rates. So thankfully we didn't have any of that. Plus we were wearing radiation detectors like this. This is a basic one that a lot of tour groups get, but we were with scientists who had really like $50,000 ones, and they had alarms and stuff on them. And the plant, Chernobyl itself, provided us with dose rate counters that you could hear go off as they accumulated a dose of radiation. So we had a couple of different systems of indicating if we were in a very hot area and that we'd have to get out. And there was, and Brittany knows this, there were a couple of instances where we were walking around checking one place out, and our tour leader says, like, okay, what is everyone at? You know, I'm at 2, I'm at 3. Oh, I'm actually at 8 because I was over here. We should all probably leave now. That happened, but we weren't in any places where it's like, uh-oh, the camera's failing. Because that's a place where your body would start to fail, you know? Ray Goodluck with the Australian 20 says, G'day, Kyle. Love the show and all you do. Only came across you this year, but look forward to many more. Hope your brain fog clears soon and enjoy the holidays. Shout out to my amazing partner. Stay safe, stay smart. I'm Australian. Okay, Ray didn't end it with I'm Australian, but Zachary says, this Sparky dude gives away 5 figures a year in super chats. Like, how rich is this dude? We don't have to talk about Sparky, all right? Sparky knows all. Sparky sees all. Sparky's putting one of my Kevins through college right now through super chats alone. I love it. Chat. This is the right button, right? Yeah, take that, brain fog. Chat, today we talked about radioactive pendants, or pedants, as I had in the chat, in the title. We also talked about tardigrades, why they may or may not be quantum. Howard Robertson says, did you get to see the Red Forest? I don't think we went inside the Red Forest, did we? I don't know. I'll have to check the drone footage. We also talked about the first episode of our Chernobyl documentary series. Look, I don't want to toot my own horn here, but people have said that we should pitch it to Netflix, me and my agents, okay? So, just like, at least like a travel show with me. They said that about, just go check it out. If you watch one thing of mine this week, make it that. I'd appreciate that. Of course, if you want to continue on this conversation after we are live, this video will be up on the Facility channel, where there's also a Facility gaming channel where we're playing Halo. And if you want to talk with me, even over the holidays, because I'm a glutton for punishment, that's patreon.com/Kyle Hill. Join today. Get a lab coat. Talk with me on Discord. Don't ping me on Christmas, I swear. Well, no, you know what? Go ahead. Behind the scenes photos, behind the scenes videos. For example, this week, Koopa, thank you for always being here and being one of the biggest supporters of the facility. This week, we will, I think, be publishing our episode about The Expanse. I talked an hour and a half with the co-creator of The Expanse, Ty Frank. We spent the first 45 minutes of that episode doing math. That will only be available for members of the facility on Patreon. And we did something similar with Adam Savage, where the full, unedited, unfiltered conversation will only be available. That's the kind of perks you can get, baby. Thank you to all the amazing Simpers for Science today. Thank you, One Cooler Guy and Sparky, for their tremendous donations to the facility. That's too much. Kawabi says, get your booster. I'm getting it tomorrow. Hopefully it doesn't knock me on my ass. I hope you have... Hey, you need an immune response to have an immune response, you know what I mean? Thank you to the gigantic Simpers for Science, everyone who asked great questions. If it did not get to your super chat, don't worry. Your question will be immortalized forever in video form. I still saw it. Thank you so much. Thank you to my mods, Heather, for keeping it level-headed in here. Thank you to everyone who is a member of the facility already, who is in here. I see you. I notice you. This will be the last... Will it be the last office hours of the year? Am I back? Where am I back? We might do one more office hours before the end of the year. Hope to see you there. I hope to see you on an Expanse episode or Adam Savage collaboration episode. I will also be there on Tested. Hope to see you in the next Chernobyl episode, whenever the heck, I don't know, whenever that goes up. But until the next time I see you, no matter where it is, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, dusk, midnight, time zones. And I hope, if you celebrate, some people may not celebrate, I don't know. If you celebrate, I hope you have a wonderful... My brain. It's hard being like this. If you celebrate, I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. I hope you are safe. Make good decisions about traveling. Be smart. Say hello to your loved ones for me. Go up to them, boop them on the snoot like this, like you would a dog, and say, Kyle told me to do that. And then wash your hands. Have a wonderful holiday season. Be good. But more importantly, during this season, be nice to each other, because this is all we got. Especially if you can't... Oh, man. This will clear up. Bye-bye.